What's up, guys? Welcome back to Road to 2 Comic Club. Justin here, and today I want to talk about Apple stock and explore the question, is it a buy right now? And I'm going to go over some of the bullish cases here that some analysts have talked about, and then I'm going to give my opinion on Apple stock. And if you already watched the vlog, you probably know that I do like Apple, but I do want to talk about specifically why right now I kind of like Apple stock. So checking the price currently right now, it is November 15th, 9:15 a.m., so relatively early in the market. Apple is up a little bit. It's at $187.70 a share, up about 90 cents. Now, they're a huge component of the Dow, so when they do well, usually the Dow kind of does, but everyone else is doing bad right now. So anyways, let's just get into it. So let's talk about, there's an analyst from Morgan Stanley. Her name is Katie Huberty, and she reiterated her buy rating on Apple stock and gave it a $253 price target. And she remains bullish mainly because of the services. Now, you may have heard me talk about this before, but Apple makes a ton of money in their services. And in fact, their services, part of their business alone would be, I believe, in like the top 500 companies just on their value. They make over $9 billion a quarter right now. In Q3, or maybe Q2 it was, I'm looking at this article, they made $9.55 billion in services revenue, up 31% from last year. That's just in a quarter, okay, guys? So that's a lot of money to be making just off a small, a section of your business. It's growing. It used to be a small section. Now it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Tim Cook in January 2017 did say his goal is to increase their services revenue up to $14 billion per quarter by 2020, and it looks like they are well on their way to do that. Now, let's go back to the analyst. Her reason for saying that Apple stock is a buy right now is because their guidance cuts reflect Apple's cautious holiday quarter guidance, but it doesn't impact the firm's services growth forecast, which is tied to the installed base instead of new shipments. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but she also notes that the unit revisions typically hit the supplier chain harder than Apple due to inventory fluctuations and more bullish orders. And she thinks that Apple reached normal run rate production earlier this year given the lack of labor and component constraints compared to previous years, and that means that they had to cut their supply chain orders in November instead of usually December and January. Okay, so that's kind of her reasoning by that. And let's just go into another analyst or someone's opinion. This guy is, let's see who wrote this article, Michael Wiggins de Oliveira. So I probably butchered that name, but I'll link the description for this one too. But he's basically saying the holidays, season guidance is weak. So what? Apple trades at a conglomerate discount if you look at their like PE ratios and stuff like that. And the company, I thought was important. They have nearly 3 times more subscribers than Netflix. Okay, we're not just talking about customers. We're talking about subscribers to like their services and other things like that. So its valuation makes an investment in Apple a clear winner. And now, so he was saying that basically, if you look, they did release their Q4 2018 results recently. He said it shows everything investors need to know. Top line grew 20%, earnings per share 41%. That's amazing. He says that's really all you need to know to see that their business is doing very well. Now, surprisingly, a lot of people are willing to sell the stock, and mostly because people are obsessing over the iPhone. And that's personally the way I see it. I personally believe that a lot of people are obsessing over iPhone, and they forget to realize that Apple is way more than just the iPhone. Yes, that's their most popular product, but it's not their only product. Like for example, with GoPro, they only had that one product. It was their cameras. Yeah, they had their drones, but not many people were buying those anyways. I mean, their main business was the GoPro, and it was dangerous for them because if too many competitors came in, they really made them vulnerable to losing business. Whereas Apple, they don't just have the iPhones, they have their Macs. They have their laptops, which are hugely popular. They have their services, Apple Music, iTunes, hugely popular. They have so many things that are hugely popular that they don't have to just rely on the iPhone. So to think that people should sell a stock just because they're being cautious about their guidance for iPhone shipments, I think it's overreacting a little bit. Now, he also said that iPhone is the main gateway to the company's services business, which is up 17% year over year. And Apple is showing a strong ability to leverage off its key product, the iPhone, with other business lines. Yet, because guidance, is weak this holiday season, investors are exiting their investment, which is counterintuitive. So that's what he says. He also says, let me see if I can find the quote about the services. Anyways, somewhere in this he mentioned that, their services kind of, it doesn't just include one. It's like Apple Music, you have iTunes, you have Apple Pay, you have the App Store. There's a lot of services that go into their revenue once you buy an Apple product, the iPhone. So, when many of you have iPhones right now, even if you don't get the next iPhone every single time, like I personally don't have the iPhone XS Max right now, which is the phone I wanted, and I am due for an upgrade. I could have got that phone, but I didn't yet just because, I'm saving my money for other things. But I still have the iPhone 7 Plus. I still like it, and I'm still spending money like in the App Store, and I still use Apple Pay. So they're still making money from me in their services department. So even though I'm not getting the iPhone, I can still contribute to their revenue for services. And so I think that's an important note to consider. Now, what's really, really exciting, so I believe I did cover the services. Yeah, I did talk about that. I talked about their revenue and all that. Now, I want to talk about what I just heard. I don't know if this is a recent news headline, but this headline is from November 14th. So they have a new partnership with Amazon. And I mean, anyone who partners with Amazon, that's amazing. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a little bit. So this headline says, Apple stock price analysis, new partnership with Amazon is a boon for Apple. Now, this holiday quarter should see a notable increase in Apple's hardware because Amazon recently agreed to sell Apple products in their store, not just from third-party sellers, actual Apple products directly from Apple. And that is huge. That is so huge. Obviously, you saw that video I made about Amazon. They pretty much take 50% of all e-commerce market share. So to introduce a popular product line like Apple products into their website is just, I think it's astronomically huge. So they agreed to sell Apple Watches, iPhones, iPad tablets in its US and international online stores. They also agreed to become an official Apple reseller, and they will delist unauthorized resellers of Apple products starting January 4th, 2019. So again, huge for Apple. That's a huge win for Apple. Now, Amazon touts more than 100 million Prime subscribers, which you probably already knew. They are all desirable potential customers for Apple products. Buying online is faster than queuing up an Apple retail store. And he says, I still rate Apple as a buy. So a lot of people still rate Apple as a buy. But again, going to the Apple store, many people don't live near an Apple store. I happen to live near an Apple store, but still, just because I live near an Apple store doesn't mean I can just go in and out. Like I live like 2 minutes away from an Apple store, but if I go in, I still gotta wait in line. I still gotta like schedule an appointment probably. Like it's still a long process, whereas I could just from the comfort of my own home go on Amazon now and I can, shop for Apple products there, which is way easier. And I think having that partnership just going to, eliminate that friction even more for customers and give them that opportunity to buy Apple products. So is Apple stock a buy? For all these people, they say yes, especially at their current price. One more thing to note, Warren Buffett still has his largest position in Berkshire Hathaway. Their largest stake is in Apple, and I don't think they ever sold an Apple share ever. Every time it comes down, they buy and then they hold. So, all of those things, I still think Apple, I personally believe Apple is a buy. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not recommending you buy Apple stock right now. I can't even recommend that you buy Apple stock like explicitly, but I personally still have a position in Apple. I still have my 100 shares, and I do want to give a shout out to one of my YouTube subscribers, Saibu Shayer, who gave me a recommendation because I used to sell covered calls for my Apple stock every week, and then they would take that fee every week, $7 or however much it is. He said, try selling every other week or maybe 3 or 4 weeks out so that you save those fees, you can make more money and only pay that one-time fee. So I did try that. I did sell a 2-week covered call this time on my Apple shares, and I believe I made like $50-something, which is not bad. Again, guaranteed income. If you have 100 shares of Apple, you can sell covered calls and make another source of income from that in addition to dividends and the stock going up, and etc. So I personally have, I have my Apple shares. I still have some calls. They're long expirations, so I think the earliest one expires in 2020, and I'm hoping for a rebound, and I still personally like Apple for that reason. One last thing I do want to quickly talk about is, I forgot to mention, when Apple said that they're no longer going to be reporting their individual iPhone units sold in their earnings, a lot of people freaked out. I personally, again, for reasons I mentioned earlier, how, they have more to their business than iPhones, I actually like that they're doing that because I think people are obsessing too much over iPhone shipments, and by them bundling it up with their other products, it forces people not to focus on that so much. Now, if you're not familiar, Google, I think I did mention this recently, that Google doesn't report their individual income from YouTube, even though YouTube is like considered a huge part of their business. They don't report their individual numbers on that. They kind of bundle it in with everything else. And, people don't really complain about that. So even though people originally are complaining about the iPhone thing, I think over time they are going to get over it. And then it'll kind of go back to just focusing on Apple as a whole business, not just Apple as iPhone company. So I just want to throw that in there. And then finally, let's just finish the video. I do want to mention that we are flirting with the bear market right now. So, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't explicitly give you advice to buy a stock. But me personally, my personal opinion is I would be very cautious right now. At 187 though, if I had some extra cash, I would be picking up some shares. That would be my strategy. And then I would wait to see what happens. If it goes down a little bit more, I would buy more. And if it looks like it's starting to rebound and make a comeback, I still would probably buy more and just hopefully ride that wave up. That's what I personally would do if I had some extra cash. I already have my money in Apple. I have 100 shares. I have some call options that expire in 2020, maybe even later than that. So I'm still bullish on Apple. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So if you like this video, I really appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like button if you did like it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I want to know what your thoughts are, so please comment below. Do you like Apple right now at this price? Are you currently buying Apple? Are you currently selling Apple? Or are you currently just watching it to see what happens? What do you think will happen in the next year or so? I want to know what you guys think. So please comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, thanks again for checking out this video. If you want another way to support the channel, please check out that Patreon link up there at the top. You get access to my private Discord server where we chat about different companies we're looking at investing in. I also post my current trades in real time, as well as news headlines with little mini summaries. And you can also get discounts on any merchandise that we sell, like a shirt like this, for example. And if you want to just subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate that as well. You can just click that black logo there at the bottom. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.